Michelle, for putting this together. My name is Clay Lewis. I'm with InterExchange, and I'm our employer and community engagement manager. Work with communities that host summer work travel participants across the United States in strengthening the program within those communities. And I'm joined by my colleague, Portia Haynes, who's our regional account manager for New Hampshire. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about the BridgeUSA Summer Work Travel Program, an overview of the program, where it stands this year and for next summer, how to become a host employer, and then we're also happy to take any questions. Feel free to drop them in the chat box, or we can take live questions, at the end as well. And I'm happy to take questions via email too. And with that, we'll go over a little bit about just a very quick intro about us. We're a nonprofit based in New York City. And we've been partnering with the State Department, the US State Department, for over 50 years on administering a variety of different BridgeUSA cultural exchange programs. The program we're focusing on today, Summer Work Travel, is just one of many different programs we do operate. We have a camp counselor program, an au pair program, intern and trainee programs for more professional development, as well as outbound programs for American youth to go overseas and do similar types of programs overseas. And then a foundation that provides grants for young Americans with a passion for improving the world to do service projects abroad as well. So every year we give out grants to Americans that are going overseas to do service projects. A little background on the Exchange Visitor Program. The Department of State Exchange Visitor Program was created as part of the 1961 Fulbright-Haynes Act. And the most recognizable of the programs that was created as part of that act was the Fulbright program that I think probably a lot of you on the call have heard about. There's many other programs that were created under that act. The State Department partners with organizations like InterExchange to facilitate and run these programs, as well as other nonprofit organizations, universities, secondary schools, government departments and agencies, business associations and corporations, and other private companies. Participants coming on these programs all need a visa to come and enter the US, and they apply in person at US consulates in their home country, and they're traveling on a J1 visa. There are over 335,000 participants traveling on a J1 visa annually on a variety of different programs, 15 different programs under the J1 category, some of which I mentioned, but they also include visiting professors, research scholars, high school teachers, and a variety of other programs. Most of the programs run 3 to 12 months. Some of the different categories allow for slightly longer stays under certain circumstances. The program we're talking about today, Summer Work Travel, is a short-term, typically 3 to 4 month program. So first and foremost, these programs were created to help increase mutual understanding between the people of the United States and people of other countries by means of educational and cultural exchange. So as you can see here, just some data points on how these programs impact our public diplomacy. Participants are coming here to gain a cultural exchange experience, improve their English, and they're leaving their programs with a vastly improved view of America, better English skills, and connections with American businesses, American friends and colleagues, that they've worked alongside or lived alongside while they've been on their programs, and they're taking those experiences back with them. And most of the students are going on to, do wonderful things throughout the rest of their lives. These are young professionals. The students participating in the Summer Work Travel Program are all university students enrolled full-time overseas. They're future doctors, lawyers, engineers, politicians. They will be the leaders of their countries down the road, and in their industries, across the world. So the students are highly educated. Some of them are in their undergraduate programs. Some of them are coming on their graduate programs and studies. Most of them speak multiple languages. And a lot of these exchange experiences that they're participating in when they're coming to New Hampshire and they're coming to your communities, they're taking that experience back home with them. They're sharing that experience. It's a way of connecting, North Conway or every other, community around New Hampshire with a vast part of the world. A lot of times their family, their friends end up coming back to visit New Hampshire. It increases tourism. While they're there in the United States and in your communities, they're spending, their money within your local communities. So it's kind of a win-win. They get to experience your community. Your community's also, gaining a lot from this program as well. One fact I do like to share every time is, that the State Department talks about a little bit too, is among the millions of BridgeUSA alumni around the world that have participated in these programs, 1 in 3 current world leaders have also participated in a cultural exchange program in America through the State Department. So you can see, 1 in 3 world leaders have participated in these programs. They really are important for our public diplomacy, for our national security interests, for our economic interests. And then that's why these programs exist, and why the State Department is actively, pushing to increase these programs and make sure that they're, strengthened within the local communities as well. So they are very crucial to our foreign public diplomacy interests as well. I mentioned this, but the primary purpose of the summer travel program is for cultural exchange. The students are coming here for 3 to 4 months. There is a cap of 4 months for the program. No student can work for longer than 4 months. The program dates are set by the US embassies in each of the students' home countries. We work with over 50 different countries to bring students here to the United States every year. And we're working with our overseas partner agencies to do a lot of that initial recruitment. The students' work dates are set by US embassies, and that's based on the national university dates. So they're coming on their summer vacation from university to the United States, and then they have to go back before the start of the next fall semester. Michelle also mentioned the winter program and some students that are coming up to her region this winter. There are multiple seasons for this program. A lot of the data I'm going to show today is talking about our summer program, but we do have a strong winter program as well, which is a lot of students coming from the Southern Hemisphere countries. So Peru, Uruguay, Paraguay, Chile, Argentina. These students, their summer is our winter. So they're still coming on their summer break from university, but it's our winter time. And so they're going to all the top ski destinations and winter, tourism destinations around the US. And then there is a very small spring program as well that is not very large, but kind of extends into our summer program. The students are able to defray part of the expenses of coming on the program and being able to travel here by working in temporary entry-level positions, typically in seasonal, tourism-related industries. So you'll see a lot of students working at amusement parks, hotels, restaurants, shops, in different seasonal markets around the country. So a quick kind of program outlook where things stand right now. This summer that we just closed out, this upcoming winter, and for next summer, many of you guys might have heard about some of the issues the program faced last year with visa denials and issues with students getting visa appointments. A lot of those issues have been resolved. We have seen a very strong program this year. The travel ban that was initiated a few years ago was lifted, which we see as a great success. There is still a vaccine requirement for all international travelers coming to the United States. So that is one requirement that's currently in effect for the program for all international travelers, and that might still be in effect for next summer. This summer, we saw a resurgence of the summer work travel program that gets us a lot closer to pre-pandemic numbers. as you know, our programs are kind of coming through the tail ends of the pandemic and making a rebound. I'm actually coming to you today, fresh back from Washington, D.C., where we were talking about the program with the State Department. And I think the current data is 76% of summer travel program participants participated in the program this year so far. And that's 76% of 2019 pre-pandemic numbers. So the program is coming back very strong. This winter program is thought to be one of the largest winter programs that we've seen in recent years, significantly up from the last 4 winters. Visa processing has progressed very smoothly with limited exceptions at some U.S. consular posts overseas. So if anybody was following the news about some of the visa processing issues, it was in national and a lot of local publications. So a lot of that has been resolved. And so we're looking forward to a strong winter season and a strong summer season next year. As you can see here, we're not quite at 2019 numbers, but we're a lot closer than we were the last 2 years. And this is very positive, and we're excited to see students coming for this upcoming winter season. I don't have those 2022 numbers yet because our winter program is just starting this December. So, you know, once the winter program really comes in, we'll see, you know, full program numbers, but we're seeing a strong resurgence of the program. I did want to share a little bit of data on the program in New Hampshire, specific to New Hampshire. The 2022 numbers for New Hampshire, again, do not include the winter program. So those numbers will notch up as, you know, the winter program comes underway, and it is supposed to be a very strong winter program this year. But you'll see in the 2019 numbers are kind of the best estimate for where the program was at its peak right before the pandemic, with almost 2,700 students coming to the state of New Hampshire. And this is just some work travel students. So keep in mind, I mentioned at the beginning of the program, there's about 335,000 participants on all J1 visas over the course of a given year. The summer work travel program makes up almost a third of that in a typical year at about 108,000. So it is a sizable program across the United States. Make a few quick pitches. You know, I work a lot on our advocacy work, you know, making sure that these programs have strong support down on the Hill and in Congress. They're very important for, you know, local economies, for, you know, as I said, our public diplomacy, increasing that mutual understanding between, you know, our country and other countries. We see that well right now with a lot of, you know, the issues that are facing the world right now. So we do work with a lot of our Chamber of Commerce partners, our host employers and host businesses, and other industry associations on a lot of our advocacy work, getting out in front of Congress, getting out in front of, you know, our elected officials, and making sure that, you know, the value of these programs are heard down on the Hill, so that, you know, they remain in place and continue to have strong bipartisan support. But, you know, the good news is these programs have very, very strong bipartisan support. I think just about everybody in Congress realizes, you know, the importance of these programs. You know, they have a lot of support from the administration as well. So, you know, things are looking good for the programs overall. And with that, I'm going to turn this over to my colleague Portia, who's going to talk a little bit about, you know, businesses that are looking to get involved and kind of how that process works.
Hey, thanks so much, Clay. Hello again, everyone. So yeah, for those of you who are, it sounds like most of you are kind of rather new to the program. So here's some things to consider. Beginning with our timeline, after a host matches with a participant, they will need to take their DS 2019 form to a U.S. embassy or consulate in their home country to apply for their visa, and then book their plane tickets to America. You will be able, hosts will then be able to track their flight, their visa status in their InterExchange online account. The requirements are, of course, that business must be seasonal, must not displace American workers, and the pay must commensurate with U.S. counterparts. Housing, as you all know, is a critical component of the program. We are asking our to provide housing or arrange housing prior to a participant's arrival. This can come in many forms. Don't have to own their own housing, but participants usually expect to pay rent while they are here. Unfortunately, sponsors have pulled out. They've had to pull out of some areas where there is a lack of housing. Keep in direct contact with the visa sponsor is very critical. Hosts can always look on the participant's DS 2019 form for the sponsor's name. There are oftentimes, students will enter an employer's business or contact them for a second job. If that should happen, we just ask that, you find out who the sponsor is, and if the student does not know who the sponsor is, you can always ask to see their DS 2019 form and contact the sponsor to go through their approval process. Please keep in mind that all second jobs must be approved by the sponsor before the student can start working.
And that is a common thing. A lot of the participants that are coming do want those second jobs and are going to go to other businesses in your area looking for second jobs as well. And that's by and large okay. They're allowed to work more than one job while they're on their program if they'd like to. They just have to go through that approval process. I do want to quickly hit on the timeline because I mentioned summer and winter. And I want to make sure that's clear. So the timeline, we've already finished most of our placements for the winter season, and the students are going to be arriving from December through January and staying through March. Our summer program, we're beginning our process for placing students for our summer program shortly. Within the next couple of weeks, we're going to be opening up our systems to all of our summer employers that are looking to do hiring, and that timeline will go through February or March. So the hiring timeline for businesses starts around the beginning of November and goes through the end of February, give or take. Students are applying to the program on a rolling basis. So, as students are applying, more students are entering the system. And so there's no definitive end date on when we, cut it off. It's more when all the participants are placed.
Thanks, Clay. So as your dedicated account manager, I'm here to answer any questions throughout the entire process. We do have a 24-hour emergency cell phone should there be anything that impacts a host employer's participants' health, safety, or welfare. So, yeah. All right, touch on the online matching system a little bit. The online matching system allows for the employer to create a host employer profile, post job listings, photos of the business, and the housing. An employer is then able to search and match with the participants, kind of like a dating site, I guess you can say. After a participant is hired, an employer can then build real-time info such as visa status, flight information for your future employees. Okay. What does InterExchange do for our participants? We are a nonprofit, so we keep our costs for participants low. All students go through a thorough orientation prior to their arrival that covers what to expect, American currency, and many other topics. All students have comprehensive accident and sickness insurance that go above and beyond what the State Department requires, so very important there. We have a 24-hour emergency cell phone should there be, any impacts to our participants' health, safety, or welfare. We are here to help both the employer and the participant. So please, it's very important to keep in contact with me as the regional account manager if a participant has any questions or concerns. And also we one of the, I guess you could say the perks you know, my job of being the regional account manager is that we love to get on the road to visit our hosts and our participants. So I hope to see you guys in North Conway one day soon, hopefully. Yeah.
That would be great.
Yeah, and you know, kind of piggybacking off of that, you know, we also like to work with a lot of you know, our communities and our chamber partners and our host employers on cultural events for the students in the area. You know, ways that we can kind of strengthen the program in the area. If there's, you know, a welcome orientation we can do for students, if there's a lot of students coming to your area, connecting the different businesses and the chamber with our participants so that, you know, the participants can meet each other. A big part of the program and the success of the program in a lot of areas is word of mouth. You know, word of mouth goes a long way with this program. Students, if they have a great experience, they're going to go home, they're going to tell their siblings, their cousins, their friends, you know, at college and say, hey, you know, North Conway is a great place to go. Lincoln's a great place to go. You know, these towns are, you know, amazing. We had a great experience. You know, we met with a lot of other students there. You know, it was a beautiful time. You know, there was a lot to do. So the more that the community can do to kind of strengthen the program for all of the participants in the area, it really does help build the reputation of the community overseas, which will help a lot of the businesses in their recruiting efforts when they're trying to hire students as well. So that community engagement is, you know, is really important. And, you know, we're always, you know, happy to help with that as well too, and set up events and, you know, provide some insight on that as well. And you'll see both of our contact information here too. You know, we're both free at any time, so feel free to reach out at any time, you know, with questions, and pass along the contact information. And yeah, if anybody has any questions, we'd be happy to take any questions. I know we covered a lot very quickly, and there might be a few things we missed, so. So we do have one question. Do you find it is challenging to have students apply? We have a lot of interest from both participants and employers in the program. You know, the Summer Work Travel program has been around for, you know, 50 years and is well known in a lot of the sending countries that participants are coming from. And throughout a lot of the universities, and it's, you know, even a rite of passage in some countries. We have a big Irish program. And, you know, coming on a Summer Work Travel program is like kind of a rite of passage for a lot of Irish college students. And, you know, a high percentage of them participate every year. You know, students have been applying for the program pretty strong. Even through the pandemic, there was a lot of interest and we couldn't accommodate all the capacity through the pandemic, given the visa processing challenges, but the interest from participants and students was there the whole time. So, you know, there is a lot of interest on the participant side, as well as the host employer side. A good question. And we work with a lot of our overseas partner agencies that have networks of universities that they work with to do a lot of their recruiting. Yes, Ashley.
So just forgive my, you know, might sound like a silly question, but so for the chambers themselves, essentially we become like the middleman in just terms of connecting you with those employers. So there's not necessarily much that we have to kind of facilitate or coordinate. It's mostly just making sure our members are aware of this opportunity, connecting with you to then apply, and then that kind of goes through them. I just want to know kind of what the chamber's position usually has been, you know, what our responsibilities look like when we want to make this happen in our communities.
Sure, very good question. And I think that, you know, that looks different in every community. Chambers become involved in a variety of different ways. You know, I think one of the things that chambers are often really good at is educating the business community and the community at large on a lot of the issues that are kind of facing the community and working on those solutions. So when it comes to the program, we've seen chambers get involved in, you know, initiatives on, you know, housing, transportation, bike safety in an area. Sometimes in some communities, that's a big issue. And we've seen chambers, you know, take a leading role in leading that discussion and kind of pushing that agenda to make sure that the students have, you know, that safe transportation. We've seen chambers coordinate welcome events for the students, work with other volunteer agencies or other business associations on doing that, working with the sponsors on doing that. Chambers, typically representing, the voice of the business community, make a really good kind of advocacy voice for advocating on behalf of the program for all of the businesses that rely on the program. So if there are businesses that are utilizing the program or relying on the program, that chamber voice down on the Hill is very powerful. Elected officials love hearing from us, but we also aren't their constituents. And so they love hearing from their constituents more. So the chamber voice has been very impactful on the Hill, and we've seen that a lot over the last few years as advocacy has become a kind of critical element to the program. So there's a lot of different ways to get involved. And it really depends on kind of the unique needs of, the program within your community and kind of what's going on in the footprint. But yeah, I think connecting businesses with the program, that's wonderful. Also educating businesses on some of what we talked about today. Businesses might come to you and say, hey, a student walked in looking for a second job. What do I do? What's the process there? And being able to tell them concrete information about, okay, they're going to have their sponsor information on their DS 2019 form, go reach out to their sponsor to make sure that the job's approved and get all that paperwork underway before you start employing them, and things like that. Sharing that critical information and that educational component, I think, is important. Thank you all. It was great to meet you all.